Are you ready to say goodbye to the constant ups and downs of the artist income roller coaster? Whether you're a full-time artist who wants to increase and stabilize your income, a part-time musician who wants to go full-time, or a hobbyist who needs to fund your passion projects, this podcast will equip you with the tools, resources, and inspiration to make it happen. My name is Bree Noble. I'm a musician, best-selling author, and educator whose mission is to help musicians like you to increase the income you're already making and tap into new income streams so you can create a more diverse, stable, reliable income from music and finally ditch the starving artist mentality. Now let's dive into the Profitable Musician Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I am here today with John Gold from Hypeddit. He is an independent artist, and what I love about what he's done with Hypeddit is he created something out of his own need. And of course, then, as he had that need, of course, many of you will have the same need. And that's why what he's got is really going to be helpful for you guys in building your fan base. But before we get into everything that Hypeddit does and how it can help you, I'd love to know, John, just like a little bit about your background, how you got into music, what you've done in music, and how you ended up deciding to go for really starting like a whole new company with Hypeddit.
Awesome. Bree, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome and excited to talk to you and share some of my story. I've been a musician, I think, as long as I can think, pretty much. I started learning the piano and then later the drums. Piano more because my parents wanted it, drums because I wanted it. And funny enough, today I make all piano house music. So I kind of brought together the rhythmic elements from the drums with the piano that was initially forced on me. And then I guess, something I did fall in love with a bit. And I've been releasing music since my high school days, really. I got lucky early on. One of my first tracks that finally had reached sort of a level of quality where you could put it out was picked up by a record label in Germany. They put it out. It became a little bit of a club hit, and that caught the attention of other record labels. So it became pretty easy to release music. I was eventually signed to Warner. I made music exclusively for them for a few years. And that was a time when you have all these electronic dance music compilations. So they were looking for a lot of content to put out on compilations because people were still buying a lot of these compilation CDs. And that was fun as long as it lasted, because it didn't last very long. When my contract came up for renewal, they called me in and set me down and told me that they were going to drop me from the roster. And it was like a shock. I didn't know where it was coming from. I had always focused on making high quality music. I had built up my studio, created better music, put more energy, more time into music. And I thought I was on sort of the right track to build myself as a music artist. But it turned out that what they were looking for at the time was what I was looking for. I had invested all my time and energy into making better music. And what they were looking for at the time were artists who had invested in their fan base. So they had something to monetize. Obviously, the business model in the music industry changed, right? It was initially all touring and playing for a little money or for free in order to promote your music and your CD. So people would hear in a show and then they would go out and buy your music. And that was the revenue model. And then obviously these days it's flipped upside down. Your music is pretty much free. It's all about selling experiences like, shows or other things that you can offer to your audiences. And there was a period in between where neither of these worked. So that was a little challenging. But anyway, for me, this was a wake-up call where I was like, holy shit, the record labels, they don't just want quality music. They want you to have a fan base. That's part of the business model of being successful as a musician. I had done none of this. And I needed to start to do that. And this is sort of what set me up on the journey that eventually became, Hypeddit, and how I'm building my music business these days. And, I'm sure we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this, but in a nutshell, that was sort of the starting point.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what happened in that in-between period? Was that kind of when people were selling downloads for 99 cents and that kind of thing, where you weren't making a ton of money on the music and they weren't like monetizing experiences yet?
Well, it was kind of a time when the venues hadn't figured out really how to monetize yet.
Mm.
And Napster had MP3s readily available
Oh,
for you
yes.
online. So that was a little rough period. Luckily I was still a student at the time, so I didn't depend on a musical income. Yeah, I mean, it was just, as the industry had to reorganize itself, and had to go through these couple of years, I guess.
Yep, that makes sense. So when you first started embarking on trying to build your fan base, what did you first try? And like, what did you find to be the most difficult part of it, or like the obstacles that you experienced?
Yeah, I mean, there are kind of two things that guide a lot of the stuff that I do. And one is I look at what everybody else is doing. And oftentimes I ask myself, is that really the right way to do it? Just because everybody else does it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to do it. It's the best way to blend in if you do what everybody else does. But blending in might not always be what gets you the best result. And the other thing is I put myself in the shoes of a fan, because if you can put yourself in the shoes of a fan and look at it from their perspective, you can deliver better experiences to your fans, which also helps you with your results. And I was looking at a marketplace or in an industry where obviously there were, millions of independent music artists, everybody fighting for attention online, everybody trying to get fans. And they all kind of did it the same way. They posted their music, and then they would blast social media and emails, and was all, hey, my new track is out, click here. Hey, my new album is out, click here, listen to it. And everybody just trying to get the click over to their music. And fans don't actually need that much new music as it's being released. It's a sad truth from my perspective, but I think there are more independent music artists fighting for attention online than fans are out there trying to discover new music. I think you'll see that a lot of people who consume music, they have, a couple favorites, they have playlists that have music that they stream over and over again. But with 1 million songs on Spotify new every month, there isn't that much demand for new music from a wide audience. So it's all a game for attention. If everybody is just waving their hands and saying, hey, my music's out, come here, click, 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 how can you do better than that? And so this is when I thought, well, I don't want to do just the same thing. What can I do to stand out and to offer fans something that maybe has them opt into my music as opposed to somebody else? Instead of screaming the loudest, how can I make them a better offer? And my initial idea was, well, I'm trying to grow a fan base that can mean followers, that means email addresses these days in particular, because it's a fan base where you control the communication, which I think is really important. And what if I invite somebody to come into my world, and the first thing I do is I offer them a little gift? And in my case, initially, that was a download of my music. So I literally went on SoundCloud, posted a new song, and instead of blasting all over the place, hey, come over, play this, I put into the title and into the description of the track that if somebody engaged with the track, like reposted or liked or followed me, I would DM them on SoundCloud and send them a free download of the track. It was sort of my way of saying, hey, if you engage with my music, there's an instant reward, there's instant gratification for you instead of just the music. I'll send you something, I'll give you a gift, I offer you something special. And to my surprise, that was pretty successful. Like a lot of people came over, engaged with the music, reposted it on SoundCloud. That was super valuable because the repost would put that same offer in front of more fans who then also saw it. So it helped the virality of the track and the spread. And eventually the challenge that I faced is that I had so many people engaging with this that it took me like an hour at night to just DM everybody and send out these download links and things like that. And
Well,
this
that's
is
a
when
good
I
problem
said,
to have. I always tell my students, let's come up with something that's going to be exciting to people And let's make it totally unscalable at first, because let's be honest, you're only getting 1 or 2 new people a day or a few new people a week. Eventually, when you get to the point where it's not scalable to do it anymore, then we'll come up with something else. But like at first, you can totally dazzle people by actually, even sending them like a personalized video or something like that. Right. So let's put this into context. This SoundCloud experiment that you did, what year was this?
That was 2014.
Okay. So yeah, basically back then giving away a free song really worked, right? But I feel like it doesn't work nearly as well in 2022. And I was just having this conversation with my students the other day, and we were brainstorming other things that you could give to get people excited to join your email list or share or that kind of thing. And so what do you think? Like what has been the evolution of that kind of like free gift thing over the years?
Yeah, so great point. So let me connect this into the conversation that we're having. So just quickly to wrap up sort of the 2014, the fact that I ran into this problem of having to manually DM hundreds of people and it taking away time that I wanted to spend making music, right, and coming up with new marketing ideas, that's what sparked the development of Hypeddit, because I figured there must be a better way. There must be a tool to do this. And I searched, I couldn't find a tool that did that. And this is when I went out and started to develop this piece of software that did just that: reward fans with an instant download for the engagement that they would share with the music. So that's where the platform was born. But as you point out, over time, music downloads have lost some of their value, at least to a broader audience. They are still music genres where a download is extremely valuable. Anything in the electronic music space where you have a lot of DJs collecting music, downloads are still, top of the game because everybody wants them for their DJ sets, those kinds of things. But two things have happened. First of all, the framework, the idea behind it is as valid now as it was in 2014. It's not about the download of the music. The idea is to allow a fan to experience that instant gratification, that little bit of an extra when they join your world for the first time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm on board. Like, yes, that's a good point of saying, like, just because music downloads don't necessarily work in particular genres anymore, it doesn't mean that this whole framework isn't absolutely valid.
Yeah, so the question then is, what is that exclusive, that can say no offer that you can make a fan to come into your world? What is that in your particular music genre? For somebody, it might be a music download. For somebody else, it could be something that is related to the lyrics of the song, maybe a lyrics booklet, beautifully visualized. For somebody else, it might be the beats out of which the song was built for somebody else to jam on. It could be an exclusive access to an unreleased music video. So this is where the gate technology obviously evolved, where these days it's not just about adding music to it. You can add any piece of content to one of those tools, and it doesn't even have to be downloadable content. It can be just exclusive access to content, like an unreleased music video. So this is where art and science meet a little bit, right? The science part is, well, if you make a better offer, it's a great way to attract fans and to attract attention for your music, and to get them to engage, to get them to come into your world, ideally even to share an email address so you can build that relationship. The art piece is, well, what's that thing that your audience, fans in your genre, they can't resist when they see that you're offering this? They just want to engage, right? They just want to have it. And for some artists, that might be music download. For somebody else, it could be something completely different. So that is how you have the pulse on your audience, on your genre, and you can see what's out there and what others are doing, and even survey your audience, ask questions on social media, test things. Testing is so easy these days. You can just create one of those gates in a couple of minutes, put it online. If people don't engage, well, maybe that wasn't the right thing that you offer. and then just try something else and see what works. It's as all marketing, it's an iterative process where you just test things, and some things work really well and some others don't, and you keep doing more of the things that work really well, and you stop doing some of the things that don't work so well, and that's sort of progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think, just as you said, testing out things, I think sometimes we feel like, oh, we failed if like we put something out there and it didn't go over like we wanted. No, we just figured out that wasn't the thing that they wanted. They want something else. So, even some ideas just came to me now. Maybe you did a private live stream once a month for the people that join your list or do what you want them to do. Or maybe you give them the sheet music to one of your songs, or you give them a backing track, if it's in your genre. Like I know in like maybe the Christian genre, a lot of people like want to sing these songs at events or like sing them at home, and they could have a backing track for it. So it's about getting creative and brainstorming, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there is actually one use of a free download that is still valuable pretty universally across genres. And this is around pre-saves. So pre-saves obviously something that grew to popularity over the last few years. So it's more recent. But if you think about most standard pre-saves, I kind of look at them almost like calendar invites. A fan clicks a couple buttons, they have to authorize access to Spotify. And once they execute the pre-save on the pre-save page, they don't really get anything out of it. For the fan, it is all the reward is in the future, if you even can call that a reward, that you are able to put your song into their liked songs playlist on Spotify. I wouldn't even call that a reward to the fan, because the fan, if they are tuned into you, they know unreleased day, you're going to send another email to them and with a link to Spotify. So there's really very little reason for a fan to pre-save your song, because there's so little value in it for them. The value is all for you as an artist, but not really for the fan. And so using a gate that has music attached to it in order to do a pre-save rather than a smart link pre-save, that is a whole game changer, because now you can go out to your audience and say, hey, you can enjoy this track 4 weeks before anybody else can, and here's the pre-save. So now what happens is you get the same pre-save, but the fan gets the song right away. So they can enjoy this early before anybody else. And the benefit here is about this exclusive access. It's still not necessarily about owning music. They don't need to own the MP3, but the fact that they can enjoy your song 4 weeks before the rest of the world can, that has some real value. And this is a great incentive and a great way to use music as an incentive to get fans to engage with you on a pre-save, for example.
Yeah, that's a really good, I love that idea. And, most fans, I think, don't think about it. Where I'm always trying to not most fans, most artists don't think about it in that, like, basically you're asking them a pretty big favor to do a pre-save for you, because it's really all about what you're getting out of it. They're not really getting much, as you said. They'll probably, if they follow you on Spotify anyway, they'll probably see it in the release radar, or
Exactly,
like, as you
100%.
said, if they're on your email list, you hopefully, if you're doing a good job with your marketing, you're going to send it out on its release day. So how do they get delivery of this song, say 4 weeks in advance? Do they get access to a way to like stream it, or are they downloading it?
They're downloading it.
Okay.
That's what the Hypeddit platform, so the technology that I built, does instantly. So it basically creates a little mini page for you where the fan logs in. It's the same authentication process with Spotify that you have on a regular pre-save. Just on a regular pre-save page, the last page would just say thank you for pre-saving it, and there wouldn't be anything else for the fan to do other than close the browser window and leave. In this particular case, the fan gets the download of the song so they can start playing it. And the nice thing is, oftentimes I get this question, well, John, if I give away that download 4 weeks before the release, am I still going to get streams? Aren't I'm going to cannibalizing the streams on Spotify? And the thing is that from what I see, you don't.
No,
because it's not. Just because somebody has the MP3 doesn't mean that they change up their music listening habits.
Let's be honest, it's not convenient, right? Convenient
Exactly.
is if you're a listener on Spotify, and the song comes out, you're going to put it in your playlist so you can listen to it easily wherever you want. I mean, I am a Spotify consumer, and I wouldn't be like, oh, I have this on my phone somewhere, I'm not going to add it to my playlist, you know?
Exactly. So that's where this makes so much sense, because you're getting a lot higher conversion on pre-saves. I've actually, when I come up with ideas like this, I usually put it to the test. So in this particular case, when I first started toying around with this, I literally ran a campaign to a cold audience that was using Facebook and Instagram ad. A campaign for the exact same song at the exact same time for the exact same budget, just one ad driving the traffic to a regular pre-save, like the ones we've all seen, which is basically a smart link in a pre-save state, and the other one to a gate that has the pre-save built in but rewards the fan with the download. And on the same budget, I got literally twice the number of pre-saves just by offering the music as an instant reward. And that shows you the power of that additional incentive that you're putting out there. And
let me ask you real quick, if you're sending that to a cold audience that don't know you yet, what are you saying to get them excited enough about it to actually opt in?
You want to let them know that there's early access to an unreleased song that they can get. So in this case, the ad has to describe the benefits so that they're not so that they already know what's in it for them by going to the page. So the ad would say something along the lines of, my new piano house track, drops in 4 weeks. Here's an exclusive download available right now, and I'm going to take it down on release day. So I add some scarcity to it to let people know that this is only available up until the release date. Then they can check it out on Spotify if they like. And in the ad, I'll refine the language a little bit compared to what I just
of course
spoke out, but it's something along those lines. And then the ad will have a video that is a 30-second preview of the song. So the video is just going to be the cover art of the song. So I don't do music videos for these ads. It's just going to be the cover art. It's going to play 30-second preview of the song, and the text in the ad will describe that there is the song that isn't live yet, is exclusive, is available for download, so instant consumption, and this whole thing will go away at a specific date.
Got it. That's really smart. And it's really smart to have a sample of the song, because a lot of times I see artists putting out maybe like an image, and so it's like they don't know what the song sounds like until they go to the page. And what's going to make them click off of Facebook or Instagram and go to that page? It needs to be super compelling. And if this is cold traffic, they don't know you. So you're obviously probably targeting people that already like house music or electronic music. And that's important. But like, are you giving them any context as far as like, my music sounds similar to this person or this person? Or are you just assuming that they're going to click the play button and listen for themselves?
The context happens through the Facebook and Instagram targeting. So I might use sound-alike artists or niche genre interests for the targeting, but I don't describe more of that in the ad itself. It's the preview is so readily available because Facebook displays that video with the big play button, that before somebody has read any of that description, they will have already played the video. Because that's usually how the browsing experience works on the device, right? People scroll through it, they see an image or video that looks interesting, they play it, and if that resonates with them, then they're like, oh, let me see the description, let me dive a little bit deeper. So I think somebody will always listen to the preview first. That will make them decide, hey, I like that, or I don't like it. And if they didn't like it, the description is not going to much change their mind because they've already browsed on. So the text will only increase their desire after they've already listened to it. And this is what I'm doing in the description by letting them know, hey, you like the song. Did you know that was actually, exclusive, and you can only get it right now. And this whole thing will go away at a certain point in time. That's how sort of the psychology plays out.
Got it. No, really smart. Very smart. So let me play devil's advocate for a minute.
Sure.
And just so how is this better than just like maybe making a landing page using your email software or something? And you can certainly deliver a free download that way as well. What does Hypedit have that is really focused on the musician market?
Well, if your goal is to just capture an email address, technically you could just do this with an email client, but you wouldn't get a pre-save out of this. So, I mean, in the example that we're talking about, so the way Hypedit work, Hypedit is a Hypedit allows you to build these gate pages that are made specifically for music. Hypedit has no other purpose than helping music artists. So there's a prominent display of the cover art. There's a play button on the cover art that allows visitors to play a preview of the song. And then you decide what kind of benefits you're asking from a fan in order to access and unlock whatever the gift or the reward or the exclusive access is that you have. And this is when you can pick email capture as one, but you can pick anything related to Spotify, to Apple Music, to Deezer, to Twitter, to Facebook, to Instagram, to YouTube. I mean, there's just a long list of platforms that we integrate with. So if you want to grow YouTube subscribers, well, you set it up like that. If you want to go Spotify, if you want to grow Spotify pre-save, well, you implement that. If you want to get SoundCloud reposts, well, you do that. So it's the tool is really versatile, and you customize it to whatever you want to get in return for sharing whatever it is that you're sharing with your audience.
Very cool. No, I love that. I love that. And that makes a lot of sense. And it's always easier to use something that's designed for what you want to do. And instead of to try to like, cobble together something that's like way more general, like I was mentioning with a landing page where you have to like kind of build everything out. It's just so much easier to have it all there and just click a few buttons and upload a few things and you're all good. And I love that you can get YouTube subscribers and shares and all those things. Really, really great use cases. So let me ask you another thing. I know that I've mentioned on the show in the past, show.co. How is that similar or different from what Hypedit does?
I believe show.co is just a smart link, isn't it?
I believe you can do some of the things that you're mentioning, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What does a smart link actually mean?
So the smart link are these mini distribution pages that you see where an artist will share a link to their music, but instead of getting you directly to the song, it'll land you on a page that says, stream this on Spotify or stream this on Apple Music, or
give them the choices of where they want to go.
Yeah, it has all the list of different services, music services that you want to show. And the way most of these platforms work, and Hypedit has smart links as well. So, I mean, Hypedit is really a toolbox. I know we've talked a lot about Gates, but there are more tools under the hood. Gates are, one of the primary tools and where it's all started, but smart links, regular pre-saves, all of those tools are also available on the platform. And the way this usually works is that you just have to have one source URL for your song, and then it automatically goes out and finds your music on all these other platforms and builds one of these mini landing pages for you automatically. So
that's really cool. So I don't have to go find my Apple link and my, all the links.
That's true. You don't. Now, most of these smart link services work that way. Hypedit works that way, but I'm sure show.co, does it the same way, and there are others. So there isn't that much difference, I guess, between these different platforms work. Where I think Hypedit is different a little bit, just based on its origins, is that I'm a music artist, and most of the members on our team are music artists. So what we do often comes out of our own needs. So, for example, when we had Hypedit collecting all these fan email addresses, one of the pain points became, well, we want to send emails out of MailChimp, out of Sendinblue, and out of these other platforms. So how are we syncing this up? So we build tools that sync it up automatically. So then when a fan leaves an email address on your gate to unlock any of your rewards, that email address automatically flows through into your email marketing software. So
is that a direct integration, or do you have to use something like Zapier?
We support Zapier, if this and that, and one other platform. So it uses one of these automation tools.
Got it.
And or for example, a lot of musicians have started to experiment with Instagram ads, with Facebook ads, with Google ads on YouTube. And so we developed all these pixel integrations. We developed custom events that are being sent in the background between these platforms. Or when Facebook did the iOS 14 update, we implemented the conversion API into Hypeddit, because I run ads for my music. So whenever there's something that I need and other artists on our team need, that's an indicator that the broader community needs the same tools as well. And then we build it in. So it all comes very much out of the experience of music marketing, just because of our own backgrounds.
Yeah, I love that. You guys are testing everything. You're seeing what works. You're seeing where the holes are and the gaps that you can fill. And that is very, very valuable. And I love working with music companies that are comprised of a bunch of musicians that know exactly the pain points of musicians.
Yeah, we use it. I mean, we're the guinea pigs and the end users at the same time.
Yep. So are there other tools that we didn't cover in the toolbox that you want to highlight?
No, Hypeddit is really versatile. So sometimes I get this question, what's the best way to use Hypeddit? And I wish there was a 30-second elevator pitch kind of answer that I had, but there really isn't. And the reason is that everybody has a different goal and has a different outcome. So usually when somebody asks me, what's the best way to use Hypeddit? I ask them a question back, which is, what are you trying to get out of it? What's the next goal that you're trying to accomplish? Let's say somebody has a new release. Are you trying to maximize pre-saves? Are you trying to maximize listeners and streams? Maybe you're maximizing the list of the growth of your email list instead. What's the number one goal that you have for this particular release? When that happens, you would say, okay, that was a success. I'm happy that was successful. Because sometimes you have musicians and they say, well, my goal is, I just want this release to blow up. I want this to become popular. And those are hard goals to take an action on, because you can't really measure them. They can't be quantified. And if you can't measure or quantify it or define it better, it's very hard to even come up with a strategy to get to that goal. But the moment you make that mental switch, and like, I know exactly what I want, right? I want the first week, I want to hit 10,000 streams on that release. Well, that's a goal we can work with, right? Because now we can measure it. We know exactly what kind of metric you're trying to drive. Or if you'd say, on this release, I want to at least add 1,000 fans to my email list. Okay, we can take action on that. So then once you have that decided, it's very easy then to go into Hypeddit and set up the software to work in your favor. For example, if it's all about emails, you build a gate and you focus everything on that email capture step. If you want to get a different result, you focus anything on that step. And this is obviously where, me and our support team are always available every day to help with questions like that. And we love getting those emails, by the way. If somebody's like, hey, I have a new release coming up in 2 weeks, I'm trying to do this and that, how would you do it? Because we are music artists ourselves and we work with all these tools, the way we want to help the community is not just by saying, hey, if you want to update your credit card information, I can help you with that, but I can help you with marketing. No, we want to help you get to those musical goals. That's sort of the first, that's going to be the first level of discussion that we want to have, which is obviously the same mentality and passion that's driven me to develop other training programs and things that have, grown out of Hypeddit, just to help music artists build their campaigns to specific goals.
I love that perspective, because a lot of times, like you said, they say, oh, I just want it to blow up, or, there's nothing measurable that they're really going for, or they want to do all the things. I want to grow my email list and my YouTube subscribers and my, Instagram and all the things, and get pre-saves. Like, you cannot successfully do all of those things at once. So very good point that you're making, that like, what is the goal of this release? Usually you want like one major goal, or you could have two if like you wanted pre-saves first, and then, once it was released, you wanted something else. But yeah, like, it's just getting people to focus and really go in all in on one direction, which is what I
Yeah.
find to be the hardest thing to get musicians to do.
And I can really appreciate this mindset of, hey, I want it to happen all at the same time, right? We're so passionate about our music. Whenever I have a new song out, that is like one of the greatest song I in that moment in time. And I'm sure it's sort of the same for everybody. And you're just so passionate about it. You want it to be heard and experienced on all these different platforms. Now, there's a little mini strategy that I use to grow everywhere. Basically, it's not everywhere at the same time, but it allows you to grow everywhere. And it's really, really simple. And it starts by saying, okay, if I want to grow everywhere, the number one item or the number one metric that I want to watch is the email subscribers that I have. Because if you grow your email subscribers, you have an ability to communicate with your audience whenever you want, whenever you have new music out or other stories to share. And you can always link this to other platforms. And in a very simple way, let's say you have 12 releases coming out over the next 12 months, right? A song a month. And you want to do a pre-save for each of those songs in the way we talked about earlier, where it's just the gate, the song, exclusive access, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks early. That's 12 emails that you can send to your audience over the next year. That is 12 gates that you can send to that audience. That gate on any of those emails does not need the fan email capture step because you already have them on your email address. So you can swap that with anything else. I would do, Spotify pre-save, and then you could add a YouTube subscribe to one of them. You could add an Instagram follow to the next one. You could add, a Bandcamp follow to the next. Like, you decide what you want, but the moment you have the ability to communicate with your audience over and over again, and by using tools that help fans to easily connect with you on different platforms. And if your mindset is, hey, I'm going to give them something for that, I come up with these ideas of giving them early access to my music or early access to music video, again, whatever best resonates with your audience, you can connect them to all these places, and you will see all of those places grow at the same time. That's why oftentimes email doesn't sound sexy. People are like, I want 1 million streams. I want 1 million listeners. I want 1 million followers on Instagram. I have hardly anybody heard say, I want 1 million email addresses. I mean, obviously that would be an insane large number.
I'm raising my hand. I want,
yeah,
I do, because I understand the power of it.
It's so powerful because it really helps you to push that growth into any other platform that you want. You want to grow a playlist on Spotify? Well, promote it to your email list, right? You want to grow listeners and streams on Spotify? Well, your email list is the launch for every new release, right? To push the first couple hundred or first couple thousand fans over there. So even though it's not really sexy, it is really powerful.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And earlier when you said, like, if an artist had a goal of 10,000 streams on Spotify, I was feeling like, oh, I would never choose that one, right? Because I want a way to continue to be connected to them. And listens on Spotify, like, yeah, maybe they'll show them some of your new releases or your older releases inside of their Discover Weekly or, Release Radar, but like, they might not, but if you're connected through email specifically, and secondarily through things like YouTube or other social media, at least you're going to be able to continue to communicate with them. So I'm glad that we had that conversation, because I am a huge proponent of email, and it is definitely not dead. It's alive and well.
It's alive and well, and it's one of the easiest ways for us to build revenue streams as well, whether it is selling merchandise, whether you're trying to grow on Patreon, or even if you try to sell tickets to shows, the email address and the email list is always the foundation for all of these activities. So I'm a big fan, a big email fan.
Me too. Okay, so how would they get started with Hypeddit? Like, do you have like different levels of pricing?
No, it's very simple. It's $9 a month on our pro membership. There's a free way to try out Hypeddit, just to feel it out, and then to unlock all the features. It's just a simple $9 a month membership. So very straightforward.
That is very straightforward and very affordable.
from musicians for musicians.
That's right. That's right. Well, is there anything else we didn't cover today that you wanted to mention?
And I think we covered a lot of ground, and I absolutely love it. My mission and our mission is to help other independent music artists, because we're all part of that same community. And so there's a couple ways to connect. There's a Hypeddit Facebook group. So if anyone here is an independent music artist, may have some questions about any of the content that we discussed, that's a great way to post questions and get some answers. And then also, we're always just a message away. There is on the Hypeddit homepage, right? hypeddit.com. There is a support link that allows you to send any kind of questions to our team and get help with both strategy and technical questions related to Hypeddit. So if you have a new release coming up, or you want to try one of those pre-saves, or anything that we talked about here, and anybody wants to dive deeper, we're always there to help.
That's so fantastic, because you're not just providing the tools, you're actually helping people know exactly how to use them. So I really appreciate that about what you guys are doing. Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation. I know that everything that we discussed is going to be super helpful to our audience. Thanks for listening to the Profitable Musician Show. I would love to know your takeaways and aha moments from this episode. Leave me a comment over at profitablemusician.com so I can bring you more of the information, interviews, and resources that you love. Thanks to Rondi Fay, one of my Academy members, for providing the music for our podcast. You can check her out at rondifay.com. That's RANDIFAY.com. Just remember, knowledge is power, but without implementation, it is useless. And inspiration without action is merely entertainment. But I know you're not just a dreamer, you are a doer. And I promise I'll be here every week to support you and remind you that you can be a profitable musician.